Good morning, boys and girls. This is Miss French. I wanted to start Lesson 10 showing you our I can statement. This is I can multiply decimal fractions with tenths by multi-digit whole numbers using place value understanding. Now, I don't want this to scare you. There's a couple of things that we're going to look at. When we talk about decimal fractions, we're talking about the word decimal here. We're not dealing with fractions yet like you're used to seeing fractions. We're talking about decimal numbers using our tenths place times a multi-digit whole number. So that's what we're going to look at doing today. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to start with the problem that says 43 times 2 4/10. In order to start on this, I want to work with a number that doesn't have a decimal in it. You can see the decimals right here. So in order to do that, I'm going to decompose 2 4/10 so that I get 24 tenths. And that gives me a whole number that I can work with. Even though I know that it's tenths, I can still work with it better than the 2.4. Alright, now I'm going to draw my area model. Divide it into 4 boxes because I have a 2 digit by 2 digit number that I need to multiply. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to write 20 and 4. And then on the left hand side, I'm going to drop down to the bottom and write my 40 at the bottom and write my 3 on the top for my ones place to be on my first line. So when I multiply 3 times 20, I get 60. When I multiply 3 times 4, I get 12. Then I drop down, I multiply 20 times 40, and I get 800. I multiply 40 times 4 and get 160. I am now going to add across these lines so that I get 60 plus 12 is 72. And 800 plus 160 is 960. I will add those two lines together and get 1032. But remember, I'm dealing with tenths. So this is tenths, and this is tenths, and that makes this also tenths, 1032 tenths. If I write that in standard form, I end up with 103 and 2/10. Now if I come over and I work the standard algorithm for this number, 4 times 3 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6. One more gives me 7. I'm going to put my placeholder in because I'm moving to my tens place. 4 times 4 is 16. I'll write my 6. My 1 gets carried. 4 times 2 is 8, and one more is 9. Now, if you will notice, I have my partial products. And then I add these together so that I get 2. And remember, this is tenths, and so when I write that in standard form, I will add my decimal. I wanted to show you that so that you can see where my partial products come in. You can see here and here. This matches my partial products here and here on my first and second line in my standard algorithm. Let's try one more together. Alright, we have 3 5/10 times 42. I'm going to do the same thing with my 3 5/10. I'm going to decompose that so that I have 35 tenths. When I multiply, I have my area model. I'll have 30 and 5. I'm going to go ahead and write my unit there so I don't forget. 35 tenths, and then 40 down on the bottom and 2 on the top row there. So 2 times 30 gives me 60. 2 times 5 gives me 10. 40 times 30, 1,200. And 40 times 5, 4 times 5 is 20, and then I'm in the tens place here, so I add another 0 for that. I'm going to add those across. 60 plus 10 gives me 70. 1,200 plus 200 more gives me 1,400. These are both tenths. When I add that, I get 1,470 tenths. And I know when I write in standard form, that becomes 147.0. I don't actually have to have the 0.0 because that is just a placeholder and it does not change the value of my number. So now let's go with the standard algorithm. I can see that I have tenths here, and so I will do my standard algorithm. 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 more makes 7. Placeholder because I'm moving to my tens place. 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 more gives me 14. Now I'm going to add. I get 1,470, but I do have tenths. You see here that I have tenths, and so I have to have tenths in my answer, and so I get 1 decimal place in my answer. I'm going to ask you now to begin work on Lesson 10 problem set. I want to look at the first one with you because it does ask you to do something that we didn't do today in the lesson. On 1A, and actually on all of them, but I'm looking specifically at A, it's 22 times 2 and 4 tenths, and then it's got is approximately blank times blank equals blank. So what it wants you to do is to estimate these numbers. We've talked about estimating to the greatest place value you see. So 22 estimated, rounded to the nearest tens place, because that's my highest place value on that one, would be 20, times 2 and 4 tenths, rounded to the highest place value, would be 2. It's not 2.4, 2.5, it's 2 because that's my nearest, that's my biggest place value, and that's my ones place, so that's why I do that. And that gives me an answer of 40. Then you would use your area model and the standard algorithm to find your answer, and then it says express your product in standard form. That's where we went back and wrote in standard form with our decimal in our final answer. I would like you to do all of this problem set, and when you are finished with it, you may turn it in the math tray, and if you still have time left at the end of class, you may read. Have a great day.